Hi, Peter Jones, author, property investor and ex-chartered surveyor. And in this short series of videos where we're talking about valuation, in the last video I was talking about how we can actually get the raw data to help us come to a conclusion as to what the value may be. But in this video I want to think about what we would do if we go onto something like Rightmove or Zoopla and we cannot find the data that we need. What would we do then? What if we go on to Rightmove sold prices or another equivalent website, other websites are available, and we can't find anything that's directly similar? Well, it depends on what's there. I mean, we may find properties which are not identical, but which will give us a clue. For example, we may be valuing something which needs a refurb, but we can find a property which actually has been refurbished. Now, technically, they're not identical. But this is where the skill and the art and the judgment comes in, which is something that you can't really sort of produce a formula for. This is where experience comes in from dealing with properties in your patch and dealing with properties generally. Because it wouldn't be right just to say, okay, well, this is a refurbished property which has just sold for, say, £100,000. So how much is my unrefurbished property going to be? Well, I tell you what, we'll just knock off the price of doing the refurb. No. Property valuation does not work like that. Cost does not equal value. And that's why we're able to buy properties which need a refurb and add value and add proportionately more value than we actually pay out on the property. So we need to understand in our marketplace what the effect of being unrefurbished or refurbished is. And when we first start out, that could be quite confusing. I mean, it could be quite confusing even if we're reasonably experienced. We have to think through very carefully, what would the market think of a property which is unrefurbished? How would they compare that to a property which is refurbished? What difference in price would the market actually want to reflect those differences? And as I say, a lot of this will come through experience, but at the beginning we may just have to make a bit of a guess and hope that we're fairly close to the mark. So that can be a complication. But what if there's actually nothing which is identical and nothing which is actually similar? What can we do then? Well, that makes it really tough, doesn't it? And one of the things which I think we forget about that is in property, I think, as a broad generalisation, most people are fairly friendly. And I wouldn't be averse if I was completely confused and needed a bit of help to actually ringing up an estate agent. Now, I'd choose the time when I rang up the estate agent. I mean, I would probably do it on a Friday afternoon when I imagine they're chilling a bit and looking forward to the weekend. But you could try other times of the day. I wouldn't do it on a Monday morning when they're going to have their team meeting and they're being told their targets for the week. But you choose your time. But very often you will find that if you ring up an estate agent and you say something like, well, look, I'm thinking about buying this particular property and I'm thinking about doing a refurbishment on it. I'm thinking about putting in new windows and central heating and a new kitchen, whatever, but I'm not sure what it's going to be worth when it's done. What would you think, Mr. or Mrs. Estate Agent, that a property that's in good condition would sell for in that street nowadays? And most of the time, 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to say, oh yeah, well, we sold one down there this time last year and it got this many thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds, and so, today we'd probably expect to get X thousand pounds for it. And you will have those conversations. And of course, when a valuer is out doing a mortgage valuation and they're they want some comfort about the figure that they're coming up with, or they're short of comparable evidence because they can be in this situation as well, of course, then very often you'll find that the valuers actually ring up the estate agents and have a chat through with them and just sort of pick their brains. Now, if you're buying a property, I wouldn't be ringing up the agents that are going to sell you the property. I'd ring up their competitors and say, look, I'm being honest with you, I'm just buying this property and I'm a little bit confused. Is it okay if we have a chat about it? If you're nice and friendly, then I think they'll want to help you. If you sort of go in demanding, look, you've got the evidence, you give it to me, then it's not going to happen. So that is one thing you can do. The other thing, of course, which you can do, and that used to have to rely upon this a lot more in the old days, is where you haven't actually got real evidence of sales prices, sometimes you just have to try and extrapolate what you can from asking prices in the area. Now, asking prices are not really evidence of value because until the property sells, the asking price is just an asking price. In a hot market, there may be offers over and above the asking price. In a market that's a bit sticky and maybe even going down, then the property may sell for 5, 10, 15, 20% below asking price. So you have to, again, take all of this into account when you're trying to assess what you think the collective view of the market would be in coming up with a figure. And you may have to extrapolate from that. So you may want to look at the asking prices and adjust those as well. I mean, you're adjusting them not just for location, you're adjusting them for the standard of the accommodation and the facilities in the accommodation, you know, whether it's got a new kitchen, bathroom or whatever, but also you're going to be adjusting it for the state of the market that we're actually in, whether it's static, rising or declining. But asking prices can give you a clue. Now, really, ideally, you want to be using all of this and your experience. And this is again why valuation isn't something which you can just be taught. There's a simple formula, just do this. And this takes a lot of time to actually get it into your system, into your psyche. And you will eventually, if you do enough property deals and you look at values, and if you try and understand values in your area, and that is one of the benefits of going through Rightmove and Zoopla every day and seeing what's coming onto the market and seeing what price it's coming onto the market at, keeping a note of which properties sell, how quickly they sell. All of this is good evidence. And you will develop a gut feel. And I remember hearing that gut feel is actually the subconscious using the summation of all the knowledge that you've ever acquired in life. And it happens at a subconscious, unconscious level. And I think that was a really good description of what it is, because sometimes you just look at a property and you think, yeah, if that was sold today, I reckon it'd go for 100,000. And you look at another one and think, oh yeah, I reckon that's worth about 90. And you will eventually, if you do this long enough, get to that position. The danger is if you think you're at that position before you get to that position. So don't ever try and cut corners. And if you need help and advice, then talk to the professionals like the estate agents. And definitely make the most of all the tools that are out there, like Rightmove and like the other websites and databases that you can now subscribe to. I hope you found this video useful and informative, and if you did, then please come over to my website www.thepropertyteacher.co.uk, where you'll find loads more great property related resources, including free special reports to download and my best-selling series of ebooks, which includes the Successful Property Renovators Workshop, 63 common defects in investment property and how to spot them. And if you're just starting out in property, or if you want to grow your portfolio, you may be particularly interested in the Successful Property Investors Strategy Workshop, in which I'll take you through exactly how I started and built my property portfolio, starting literally with none of my own money, and how I built a portfolio of £2 million worth of property in just 4 years. And that was starting from scratch. I'll take you through everything that I did right so that you can copy me and do the same. And I'll also show you everything that I did wrong so that you can avoid the mistakes that I made, and so that you can progress in property and be far more successful, far more quickly than I ever was. And this is based upon my own real life experience. And it took me about 4 years to actually work out how to do property investing properly. But in the 200 pages in the Successful Property Investors Strategy Workshop, I'm going to show you all of that 4 years knowledge condensed down so that you can use it immediately. And until next time, here's to successful property investing.